Hello, everyone, and we're here with the main man. Look, dressed for the part, I must say, Lee. It's not even a Thursday, but you're in the Dicky boat. I love it. And this series is called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Lee. So you dress for the occasion.
Yeah,
Now,
and
Lee,
everybody else has got to after this as well, like, you know. So.
yeah, everyone's got to dress for the occasion.
Yeah,
I love that, Lee. I love that. So, Lee, these are the rules. You've got to choose 10 outfield players, 2 management duos, and 3 of your favorite celebrities. So there's a table of 9, and you are one of the 9. So you've only got 8. So of the 10 players, you got to choose 5. Of the 2 management duos, you got to choose a pair. And the 3 favorite celebrities, you get to choose 1. And if we have enough time, you can tell me what your starter, your main, and your dessert will be, and we might even get into what the old sherbets will be as well. 2 of the sherbets, right? So Lee, who's your 10 outfield players?
Very, very difficult, this one. So obviously, I've gone for a few Arsenal connected, but a few from the outside of football as well, like, you know. So
yeah,
my 10 are Hristo Stoichkov.
Stoichkov, right?
I really liked him as a player. Rivaldo,
oh,
player. I really liked him as a player there. And one of my real all-time favourites was Zico.
Fantastic.
So there's
Zico.
3, and then I've
you
got,
like a legend, don't you? You like a legend.
I do like a legend. Eric Cantona is my other one from outside the Arsenal.
Right, yeah.
Moving on to the Arsenal boys, I've gone for, surprise, Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah, Charlie Nick, yeah. Charlie Nick.
David Rocastle, you know what I mean? I would have loved to have invited him. Like, you know, yeah. I know that he's not with us no more, but I still think that we should be allowed to have that one in.
100%.
So I've gone for that. Paul Merson was another one of my favourites coming through.
Yeah.
Nice. Ian Wright.
Right. God, this is a tough one, Lee, I tell you.
It's a tough one, this one. Patrick Vieira.
Wow.
You know,
right.
And my favourite player growing up as a kid, Liam Brady.
Fantastic. Right, so that's your 10 outfield players. Who is your 2 management duos, Lee?
Well, my 2 management duos are Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice, and George Graham, and of course the late Theo Foley, which is a shame.
Yes.
You know, so they were my 2.
Wow, that's a hard one. So we're getting to your celebrities. Get to your celebrities, because I'll tell you where we're going to have the fun is eliminating the people.
Yeah.
That's going to be the fun.
This is really so, because you're out of order on here. You've given me 5, and I'm only allowed to choose 1. So this is going to be really, really hard. So I've gone for my absolute cricketing idol when I was growing up as a kid. I absolutely loved him when I was a kid. You know, like you used to go at the school summer holidays and everything like that. When Jeff Boycott was batting, people, you know, those days when you was a kid, people come knocking for you, didn't they? So they'd knock on your door and they say, coming out, and I say, no, Sir Jeff's in, and I'm watching Sir Jeff. As soon as Jeff Boycott was out,
back for hours. He could back for hours. That guy, yes.
I didn't know, you know, I'd have my sandwiches and my drink waiting there, and if he got out early, I'd go out with my mates. But if he was stayed in all day, I'd sit there and watch him all day. Absolutely love him. Follow Yorkshire because of him, like, you know, go to Yorkshire games quite a lot, all because of Jeff Boycott. So he'd have to be in the 5.
Yeah.
2 tennis. I'm a big tennis fan as well, as you know. So my 2 biggest, well, 3. I've got 3. This was really hard because I've 3 tennis legends, like, you know what I mean. Andre Agassi, John McEnroe, and Ivan Lendl were all my 3 favourite, but I've had to go with John McEnroe and Andre Agassi. They were probably just slightly above them.
Lendl.
So I've got
right,
just slightly above Lendl, like, you know. So
okay, so you got Boycott, Agassi, and McEnroe.
Yep. And I've gone for 2 actors then, like one you'll be surprised about.
No, it's
And,
all right. I don't mind it. Go on.
one, like, you know, so I absolutely adored the Arvida St. Pets. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely loved them, like, you know, when they first come out, I used to video it and it was on a Friday night and stay in every Friday night and watch that, and then come home and watch it again. Just absolutely excited by it.
Yeah.
And my favourite character in that was Oz, Jimmy Now.
Jimmy Now.
Absolutely. Got all these records, but we'll keep that quiet. You know what I mean? Absolutely love Jimmy Now. So
Jimmy Now.
Jimmy Now is in there, like, you know. And my other telestar, TV star, film man was Telly Savalas. Now,
Kojak man.
I loved him. His films, he always played the baddie in the films, you know what I mean, apart from Kelly's Heroes, I think, and the Battle of the Bowls. But other than that, he always played a sort of villain. And he's bald. He was a star, you know what I mean? So Telly Savalas.
Have you got a lollipop there? Have you got a lollipop there, man? Who loves your baby? Who loves your baby? Yeah. Right, Lee.
I just absolutely loved him. So that's what I've gone for.
Lee, I've got to say, you have got a hard task choosing these guys. Okay. So I'm going to go with, tell me your management duo first. Who are you going to go for?
You know, I was going to do a little sneaky one, but you told me I weren't allowed to do this, and I was going to stick George Graham in as one of the players, so that I could have got both of them there, but wasn't allowed to do that. So I've gone for Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice, and the reason I've gone for that is that Pat Rice was about in the George Graham era.
Yes,
so he could do stories about that as well. So I felt that I'd get the best of both worlds out of that. And of course, with Arsene Wenger, I just love to listen to what he's got to say about, you know, building the Arsenal side and what went wrong towards the end, Kev. You know what I mean? I think it would be a fascinating
chat over dinner.
Yeah, over dinner and over the starter. I think that would be fantastic. Like, you know, so I really
so Arsene Wenger sat beside you. He's definitely got to be sat beside you.
He's got to be beside me. He's got to be sits. I think he could swap around, but yeah, for the first course,
Arsene for the starter is beside you.
He's got to be there, like, you know what I mean, he's next to me on the starter, like, because I think, you know, I can't wait for his book to come out because I just think it'd be fascinating. Hopefully, he'll be telling the truth and everything like that. But I just fascinated to know, you know, how he built the side in those great sides, and then, you know, the downfall of him as well. I just think that. You know, I just think it'd be fascinating to hear what he's got to say. So
yeah, brilliant, mate, brilliant. Okay, so you've chose your management duo, which is great.
Yep.
Let's go for your celebrity. You could only choose one, Lee.
Bang out of order on this one. Bang out of order on this. You know, I love Jimmy Now, Telly Savalas. I love them all. But I'm going to have to go for Jeff Boycott.
Right. Okay.
You know, when he was when I was growing up, he was an absolute hero. And I know people will say, "Oh, he was boring as a batsman and all that." Like, maybe he was, but I've been lucky enough to been a show of it. Very funny man as well. Very dry, good humour.
Yes.
So so Jeff Boycott would have to get there. Like,
he wins out.
He'd come in with his cricket pads on and his helmet and everything when they, like, you know what I mean? Just so I'd have to go for him.
Love that, Lee. Okay, right, now we're getting to a difficult part now. You've got to choose, out of your 10 outfield players, you've got to choose 5.
5? Oh,
only 5. Remember, it's a table of 9, and you're one of them. So right now, we've got 4. So you can only choose 5.
Right. Well, listen.
Get ruthless, Lee. Come on.
I'm going to get ruthless. You know, I'd love to say Paul Merson and Ian Wright. I'm going to eliminate them two because I've been lucky enough to meet them. So, right. So I feel like that I can.
You can get rid of them because you've met them.
I can get rid of them because I've met them. So, and to be honest, wasn't disappointed with either. Both of them lovely people, and Do you know when sometimes you meet your idols and you think, oh, you're a bit worried and all that, but like all the Arsenal people and all that you meet, they've all been fantastic. So and they're not disappointed. So I'm going to be ruthless and leave them out. So that leaves me with the 4, and
that leaves you with 8.
8.
Yeah, that leaves you with 8, doesn't it? So you've got to get rid of 3 more.
Yeah, so like that's going to be me Zico, and I'm going to go for just Arsenal guys. I think really like so Zico, Eric Cantona, Rivaldo, and Stoichkov. They've gone. You know what I mean?
No, that's too much. You could get one of those in because you've got rid of 2 Arsenal guys.
Right, hold on a minute.
So remember, you got rid of Merson Wrighty, so that means all you need to do is get rid of 3, and then you've got 5. So Stoichkov, Rivaldo, Zico, Cantona's 4.
Right, yeah, but I've got the 4 that I'm going for though.
Go for the 3 that you're eliminating, Lee. If you go for the 3 you're eliminating, then you've got your 5 left. That's the point.
Oh, so I can keep one. Oh, right.
Yeah,
so,
you can keep one of them. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm going to eliminate the Brazilians because they probably won't be able to talk much English. You know what I mean? So
that's what you're hoping.
That's what I'm hoping. So I'll eliminate the
Rivaldo gone, Zico
gone. Zico, yeah, and Stoichkov would be the other one, like even though he's not Brazilian, he can't talk very good English, so I'm told.
So you got Cantona, Charlie Nick, Rocky, Vieira, and Brady.
That's it. That's what I've gone for.
Right, Lee. So I need to know, as Arsene Wenger's on your right, who sits on your left?
Charlie Nicholas.
Your man.
Yeah. Do you know what? One day I hopefully I will meet. He was just, to me, will always be my favourite Arsenal player. You know what I mean? I think because also I was at the age when he was 18, 19. He just changed the Arsenal life as far as I'm concerned. He made it entertaining again. We was a poor side, and he turned it around. And listen, Kev, I'm not the only one that was mad about him in the 50s. You know what I mean? There was people with that hairstyle.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. You know what I mean? The girls were going crazy about him, and so I would always. He's always been my favourite player. Named my son after him as well. So. So Charlie would have to sit on the right hand side, like
So we've got the players you've got are Cantona, Charlie Nick, Rocky, Vieira, and Brady. Yeah. You've got Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice as your duo.
Yeah.
And you've got Sir Jeffrey Boycott, who I've put at the opposite you.
Yeah, he'd be opposite,
he'd be opposite you, so you could have a direct line of sight. Throw a few bread rolls down there and he could fend them off, you know what I mean, Lee?
Foot forward.
Yeah, 1 foot forward, long innings. Okay, so what would be your starter of choice, Lee?
Right, you're going to be a little bit, it's a little bit boring all this, but I want to go for things that I like, you know what I mean?
Well, you should. You can't please everybody, mate. So
you can't please everybody. And I think I've gone for a thing which will please most people, So I would go for prawn cocktail to start off with, bit of salad on the bottom.
And is there a little bit of melon chucked in, or no melon?
No melon. Just a little bit of lemon. Slice of lemon on top.
Slice of lemon. Okay. Yeah, prawn cocktail. I'm sure. I think Rocky liked the prawn cocktail, mate.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Rocky did like a prawn cocktail, so I think you're in there, mate. You're keeping Rocky happy at least, bless him.
Rocky happy, so that's made me feel a lot better. That is, so that's good.
You're keeping him happy. So what about your main, Lee?
So my main, you'd be disappointed because I know you don't really like the old red meats these days, do you? So I've gone for the steak. So.
Is it what steak? Is it Wagyu or is it one of them other ones?
No, it's going to be the old fillet, nice bit of fillet.
Fillet steak.
I like mine well done, but everybody can have their as they like.
As they please. Fair enough. And your dessert, Lee?
Strawberry and raspberry Eat and Mess. I've gone for.
Oh, Eton Mess.
Yeah, no, you like that.
Oh, Eton Mess. Hey, we know where your bread's buttered now, mate. Eton Mess.
A little bit light, you know what I mean? So, you know, not too much stodge, you know what I mean?
Not too heavy. Not too
Not
heavy.
too heavy.
Not
Yeah,
too heavy.
Looking after everybody.
Right. Okay. Apart from the still or sparkling water,
Right.
what would be your tipples of choice?
They could only be.
So you go on. Let's hear it.
Like, a little bit of champers to start off with.
Oh, Charlie. You're keeping Charlie at me.
Charlie at me, you know, and I'm sure Jeffrey would be happy with that as well, like, you know. So I think a little bit of champers to start off with. I'm pretty sure Arson would, and Patrick might like a little dibble of that as well, like.
Yeah,
so,
a little bit of champers, yeah.
Yeah, I think that they'd like a little bit of that as well. So so that's what I've gone for, and then just for myself and a few others, a few lagers as well, like. So bottles of lager on the table as well, like, you know.
Bottles, or should we say halves, Lee? Halves.
Halves,
well, yeah.
Bottles, halves of lager, like, yeah.
Halves of lager.
Free flowing halves of lager.
Right, now, I'm going to chuck a curveball in at you, Lee.
Go on.
Out of the celebrities or the players that you haven't chosen, you have to choose one of them to serve you. Who would it be? I know who I'd go for. I think you know who I'd go for.
Who would you go? Who would you go for? Would you go for?
No. This is yours. But just I saw, as soon as you mentioned the name, I thought, yeah.
We should go. I think we'll go for Ian Wright as a server. Like that,
right. He won't be happy with that. I could tell you that.
Let's just wind him up a little bit, like.
The waiter.
It'd have to be him or John McEnroe, but let's go Wrighty, because he'd have
Wrighty the waiter.
He would have the he'd be smashing things, wouldn't he? He wouldn't be happy, like.
The Eton Mess will be in your lap, mate. I tell you.
Yeah, he'd be spilling it all down me, going here. I'll go on. You know what I mean? Because he can be a bit feisty, so we'll go that like. We'll put Wright in for fun, like. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, Lee. I quite like this table. So let me just recap for you. You've gone for, and you could change only one if you can. If you want to change, you can only change one. So you've gone for your head of the table. I've made it a circular table so everybody feels part of it. I don't want it too long away. So to your right is Arsene Wenger, Pat Rice.
Yeah.
Next to him is Eric Cantona. Then you got Jeffrey Boycott opposite you.
Yeah.
You got Liam Brady. You got Rocky, and then you got Charlie Nicholas right beside you.
You missed out Patrick Vieira. He's got to be in there.
Patrick Vieira is beside Liam Brady.
Yeah.
So you got Arsene Wenger, Pat Rice, Cantona. Charlie Nicholas beside you. You got Rocky, Brady, Vieira, and Jeffrey Boycott.
Yeah.
Is there any of those that you would change, Lee? Sorry, and Ian the waiter, right?
Waiter, right. Could we have like another waiter doing the drinks waiter? What about a drinks waiter? Could I throw one in there?
No. It's going to be right. Do you remember that Carry On film? Do you remember Carry On Abroad? Right, he's the waiter. He serves the food. He's the chef. He's everything. Right, he's overworked.
He's going to be very busy, isn't he? Like, you know. So
Lee, who would you want to serve your drinks then?
I would have to go John McEnroe. I'd have to go John McEnroe.
Well, you'd be wearing the drinks, McEnroe. You can't be serious.
He wouldn't be happy with that, would he? Like, I mean,
no chance.
I've got a bad waiter service. I'd say, like, I mean, that would be a bit.
You got bad service.
With their bad service, you know what I mean? New balls, please.
The waiters walked out.
They've both gone out of 5 minutes, you know what I mean? Oh, they'll have a laugh, won't we, with them too, like, you know what I mean? So,
You certainly will, mate. But do
yeah,
you know what, Lee? Do you know
There's
what, Lee?
mayhem.
Here's the great thing about what you've chosen there. I think you would have some great conversation at that table.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
really think
really,
you would, especially once the champagne kicks in. You might get Arsene to loosen his tongue a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Because Liam Brady, of course, he went through all that era because he was to do with the youth and all that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was head of the academy, wasn't he?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to. One thing I'd like to ask Liam Brady was the ambition, because obviously he left. Did he feel that the ambition wasn't there at Arsenal? Is that why he left? Like it, it's always been sort of.
In 1980.
Yeah, and it's always been levelled at us a little bit, isn't it? Like lack of ambition at the club, even in those days, because we lost, of course, and Frank Stapleton as well in that time. Two of our biggest sort of, academy players. I know that they were Irish lads, but they come through the academy. And everybody loved Liam Brady, so I would like to ask him a few questions on that. I would also, I'd have to ask Patrick Vieira, how close he was to leaving the Arsenal, and did that really mean that one of the reasons why he did eventually leave, because he left at 29. I was absolutely gutted when he left because I felt that, we'd hung on to him for dear life when Real Madrid come the year before. And then at the end of that season, he just went to Juventus, and I felt like that was a little bit strange, but what a wonderful player he was. This lockdown thing, I said it before and I say it again, watching the old games back, Arsenal would not have won the things that they did if he wasn't in that midfield. Absolutely superb.
He was a huge, huge player for the football club. What would you ask Pat Rice, Lee?
I would ask Pat Rice. Well, I've asked him a few. I have met Pat Rice. I asked him a few questions about himself, but no, I would ask him. Very complimentary, by the way, he was. But I would ask Pat Rice about the George Graham era and then what it was like under Arsenal.
The transition,
transition, yeah, because I'm led to believe, that Pat was a bit feisty in the dressing room and things like that, and of course Arsene Wenger wasn't, and he had to sort of curb that. But I also think that, which people don't realise, is that under Pat Rice, Arsene Wenger had his best time as well. People
true.
Say David Dean when David Dean left, but if you look back, we won all our titles with Pat Rice as a number 2, so they had a good combination there. And as you well know, I've been lucky enough to meet him as well. What a fantastic man! Arsenal through and through.
Through and through, mate. Yeah.
Through and through. So, and he was, the players that he's brought through as well, he even remembers the players that he didn't, that didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
One of the players that I played with when I was younger was a player called Paul Turner. And he was a very, very good player. Went to Arsenal, but didn't quite make it. And when I mentioned that to Pat Rice, he remembered him.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that, you think, well, so he didn't just remember
the ones who made it. Yeah, no, he remembers the boys who came under his tenure, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I thought that was very, very poignant about him. And so I would definitely ask him about that. Charlie Nicholas, I'd just like to ask him what it was like being Charlie Nicholas at that time. Coming through I'd have to ask him. When he looks at and see all the fans with the same haircut as him, it must have been an unbelievable thing to have, and the adulation that he had. And I'd love to ask him what it was like playing for the Arsenal, because I feel that he's still got a bit of a raw deal at Arsenal, if I'll be honest, and whatever happened. But do you know what? Never speaks badly about the Arsenal. Never has ever come out and criticised George Graham about it. He's always turns around, and when you see him, he always says the Arsenal. So he understood the traditions of Arsenal, and to this day still says us, and I love that.
Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, when you really think about it, Lee, if we're honest, it was Charlie who won us our first pot under George Graham, wasn't it? And that was, you know, after that semi-final trilogy, and then beating Liverpool in the final thanks to Charlie, that was the foundation built then, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah, that built things up for us, and we went from there, you know. And one of the greatest things that Charlie ever done, that I think got him into the hearts of Arsenal fans, was every time we played against Spurs, he scored. You know, what I mean, I think he went about. I think if I remember rightly, he scored. You know, people are correcting me on this. He scored after a couple of games against Wolves away from home, and then he didn't score for ages. And then I think he was on a 9-game unbeaten, you know, a 9-game with goal drought. And then along comes Spurs, and he smashed in a couple, you know. And then listen, the Spurs were a tough cookie then. Graham Roberts and
Paul Miller at the back and all that, yeah.
So, but he used to just go there and score all the time, and then that fantastic goal when we beat them 3-2 at Highbury, when he jinxed round everybody, you know. So and he, do you know what? Charlie always done it against the better sides as well. Scored against, you know, Man United, Liverpool, as you say, in that cup final.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, do you know what? I would love to know. Go back to that day. Go back to those days and have social media now, and see what people. There would be arguments going on about him. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? Like,
there would be murders, Lee.
You know what I mean? There'd be people arguing, falling out left, right, and centre. You know what I mean? Because perhaps he didn't dazzle as much as he should as a player, but the personality and everything else just made you love him. You know what I mean? If he had a bad game, you know, like I would never criticise it. You know what I mean? It would always be somebody else's fault. You know what I mean?
No, Charlie was iconic though, wasn't he? He was iconic. And you know what, Lee? I used to do his boots, right? And he was so funny. He was a great lad as well. Really good. He was boisterous. And we used to have a coach driver called Bill Grays. And he used to have a massive nose. And Charlie used to torture Gravesy. You know, Jimmy Durante, you know, that's no banana, that's a nose, he used to say to him. Bill Graves used to slaughter your Scottish git and all that. And a lot worse, you could imagine Scottish twat and that. But it was so funny. Charlie was brilliant, mate. He wasn't, you know, he was. He's an icon. He's an icon.
Yeah. He's not, you know, and when he's on Sky Sport, you know, people always ask me, you know, a question: who do you follow up in Scotland, Rangers or Celtic? And to be honest, I like them both. And the reason that I liked Rangers because it was just, you know, like Rangers, and Celtic because Charlie Nicholas was there. So I've got no
affiliation or allegiance to any of them. Yeah,
one, like, you know. So, but when Charlie went back there, I don't know if you remember, Sky Sports just sort of come out then, and they was just doing the Scottish football, and I've got that just so that I could watch Charlie Nicholas in Scotland, you know, and you know, fantastic. He's doing Sky and all that, and everything like that. Unfortunately, he's not on social media or anything like that, so you can never, you know,
connect with him or anything.
Connect with him like that, you know. So, you know, but yeah, just an absolute. Yeah, one day hopefully I will get to meet him. You know what I mean? And but yeah,
I'm sure you will, Lee.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I'll be like, you know, like I know it sounds silly, but when you meet any of the Arsenal players, you're nervous, like, you know, like the day when we was meeting up that first day, shouldn't say date, should I say first day. Oh, you know, you're thinking, oh, what am I going to say? It's really, you know. But when as soon as I met you, you just like straight away, like, made me feel comfortable.
Feel easy. Like, made you feel easy.
Made me feel easy and all that, like. So that, but you still get nervous. But like Charlie Nicholas, I don't know how I would be. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be.
You'd be well nervous. I could imagine. I could imagine.
Very, very nervous. And the other person that I was really nervous meeting, and you know, I've met him a couple of times now, but. I was very, very, very nervous. Was Tony Adams. You know, when like, you know, he's behind that door now. I'm going to go and meet him this second. Like, you know what I mean? And I was very, very nervous because he's like, you know,
he's another icon. I mean, you're mentioning icons here, mate. You know what I mean?
I didn't put Tony Adams in in the thing because he'd have probably gone off and started playing the piano or something. But like, you know, he what an iconic person. And I'm pretty sure that when other people do this, Tony Adams would be in a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But again, because I've met Tony, I didn't really.
Yeah.
But you know, I was really, really nervous meeting him. Like, you know, so. But what a lovely, you know, again, another one of those guys. I think it's something to do with the Arsenal because they make you all feel at ease. Everyone. I've never been disappointed at meeting an Arsenal player. Never disappointed. Like, you know, when I've met him,
Yeah.
I walked away thinking, wow, what a lovely guy and all that. Now, I'm going to say this about Liam Brady because when I had a chat with David O'Leary, I was lucky to went on a charity do and that was on David O'Leary's table. And we was obviously talking about Liam Brady, and he said, "I hope you get him on a good day, Lee, because he can be right. He can be real funny at times, you know what I mean? So I hope we get him on a good day, you know. But he says once you get to know him, he's a lovely.
He's top class.
Yeah. Now my brother's lucky enough to meet him, play golf together and everything like that. You know, Dan's got that over me, and and he says that he's a great guy, you know what I mean? So But he said that he was losing on the golf course
and he weren't happy.
Yeah, he weren't happy. So like he's got that competitiveness and all that, and that's what I think makes all these guys stand out, you know. And yeah, so yeah, so when I do hopefully finally meet Liam Brady, hopefully I'll get him on a good day.
You get him on a good day. Lee, what would you ask Eric Cantona?
Oh, yeah, I think the obvious you'd have to ask him. You know what I mean? What was actually said on that fateful day at Crystal Palace? But I'd have to give him a few beers before that happened.
No, he likes champagne.
He don't have champagne, so we'll mellow him down on that night, you know. But you know what? With Eric, I just think that I hate Man United with a passion. Absolutely, they was a great side, and basically because they was a great side back then.
Yeah.
Right? And he was a bit naughty and whatever, but there was just something about him that I couldn't hate about him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I've never really liked Man United, but I think I've just an admiration for what he was.
Because he's good. Because he was good. Yeah, he was that good, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was. You know what I mean? And you just, you know, we went to a charity game when at Man United, you know, I can't even think what they're called now. Like, you know, and he was playing, and he come on for the last 10 minutes, and the crowd just went, you know, like
went nuts.
The actual crowd just absolutely went wild. He was only on 10 minutes, and myself personally as well was going, oh, I couldn't wait for him to touch the ball and all that, like, you know. So Soccer Aid it is. That's what I went to.
Soccer Aid, yeah.
And he was like, you know, just absolutely, you know, just something about him. I just think there was just something about him as a person. And yeah, you know, I would. The other question I would have to ask him, and I don't know how you feel about this, but he was 30 years of age when he decided to retire.
Yeah.
In his time, really, and I never could quite understand that because my dad and everybody told me play for as long as you can, son, and things like that, you know. And I couldn't believe that he did quit. I'm glad he did because it let us open a little bit, like, you know, as far as winning titles concerned, because we was getting close to him, and then that year that he left, we went on and won the double.
The tipping point. That was kind of the tipping point, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'd like to ask him that question, you know. Whatever possessed you to think that you could act instead of play football, like, you know what I mean, or something along those lines. But he decided that he wanted to quit football at 30.
He'd had enough. He'd had enough, yeah. Lee. He'd had enough. Look, and you know, this is the funny thing about it, Lee, is when you're on the outside looking in, and you play for fun, but you respect obviously the professionals. When you're on the inside, it's your job. It's your job, mate. It's a hard business, mate. And whatever you do, you're dealing with pressure, you're dealing with criticism. You got to train, you got to discipline yourself, and that's every single day. You've got to do that every day, and people get fed up of it sometimes, Lee. And you know, sometimes people could take sickies off work. You can't do that in football.
No.
You know what I mean? You know, you can't do that. You can't decide, oh, I need time away and just go away. You can't do that in football. Because as a fan, Lee, imagine, as a football fan, when you go to the Emirates, you don't care whether that player has had a Barney with the missus for the previous 10 hours. As soon as he gets on that pitch, you expect him to perform.
Yeah, exactly.
No questions asked, and there's no excuses, right? And that goes throughout all the players. And that over time, Lee, that's hard. It gets harder and harder and harder. And the bigger the player, the more pressure.
Pressure, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it can be a difficult one at times.
And I imagine that is hard if you've had a row with the wife or the girlfriend or something, and then you've got to go out and perform, and you know, no one's gonna. So like, if you go on the interview and say, "Why did you play better today?" Then, well, I had a row with my missus this morning. You get absolutely slaughtered.
You guys will go mad.
Yeah, you would do, like, you know. So so I can understand that. Like, people don't understand that, do they? I don't understand it. Like, you know, when you turn around and say it is your job, you know, and for us, it's, you know, like, oh, it's you know, even so, Kev, when players leave. You know, you think, oh, I'd never want to leave art, but you have to leave for your career because it's your career. You know what I mean?
Lee, I had to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm Arsenal. I've been Arsenal all my life. But unfortunately, it's about timing. The timing, I imagine if Arsene Wenger had come in,
it would be different.
It would have been a different story. But it wasn't. It was that transition of Bruce Rioch being there. I didn't really see eye to eye with him. I'd done my homework. I got the impressions. I met him, and it was the right time for me to leave. And, you know, the fact of the matter is he was only there for, what, 10 months? And then, you know, when the likes of Ian Wright and stuff start saying that they're going to leave, then you know the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lee, what would you ask Rocky?
Oh, I just, you know, like, I'd have to ask. First thing I'd ask Rocky is, you know what I mean, what was the feeling like to score that goal in '87? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I still watch that, and I still got, you know, we've all watched it 100. I don't know how many times, but you know, the coolness of him and the dignity that he showed. It's something that you know, I'm in admiration.
You're baffled, aren't you? You're baffled by it.
Yeah, I'm baffled by it because, you know, this is the guy that was as passionate as, you know, as you see in '89. There was a real, I'm not saying a driven. I wouldn't say nasty, but there was probably a bit of a nasty. But he had that aggression and he had everything. As you always say, he could tackle and put himself out. But at that moment, when everybody around is going absolutely crazy, and it was, and don't forget, he would have heard on the pitch the taunting of the fans and everything like that. Yeah. He could have actually have gone up and give it, you know what I mean? But he never did. He was dignified in it. And I'd ask him what, you know, was it because of, you know, the person he is, the respect for Tottenham, maybe, I don't know, or you know, because they were our rivals. But that was something that I feel I would like to have asked him. And I'll just, you know what, I'm going to be brutal on that. Should have got a lot more England caps than what he did. He should have been in the England team, I think, you know, tenfold times more than what he did. And I would just ask him that, you know, was he a little bit bitter towards his England career or whatever? Because I don't think a lot of players in that Arsenal era never got the recognition they should have done for England. And that's why I'm not a big England fan. I've never been a great England fan, and I feel like, you know, and I'm going to go back to it now, where I bet that Greenwood gets a call up before Saka. You know what I mean? Because I just think there's a I don't know if it's me being biased or whatever. I just think that, you know, Arsenal players don't get the match recognition. In fact, you know, I couldn't believe it that somebody told me the other day, Spurs fan, believe it or not, told me that Spurs has represented England the most. The most. Well, that tells you all, doesn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, from that point of view.
Arsenal have had the highest amount of players in one team, England team, which was 7.
Right.
But Spurs players over the years have had more players representing England than anybody else.
Than anybody else. That's Man United, Liverpool, and everybody, you know.
Yeah.
But I look back at those sort of things, and it's not necessarily that successful teams. Where I look back at Liverpool, and you think like some of the English players that they had played, did have players played like Phil Neal, but Sammy Lee never got the recognition that he deserved as a player. And
Jimmy Case,
like Jimmy Case, Terry McDermott, players like that hardly got that many international caps. So I don't know why, and I just felt that Arsenal had this fantastic back four. Fantastic midfield, young players like David and Rocastle. Paul Davis never got recognition for England, you know.
Yeah.
And I always found that a little bit strange and a little bit, you know, people say I'm a little bit bitter. I am a little bit bitter about it, you know. I remember, we won the league in 1989, 1990 World Cup. Not one Arsenal player went to the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, I've never been a real England fan, Kev. I've never, you know, we spoke about that before.
Yeah.
You know, it's never been the big thing for me, but I'm hoping that if Saka gets in there and I've got that feeling he might get left out a few times and I'll start getting a bit bitter again towards it, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah, no. But the thing is, Lee, you make a great point because with so much talent, and you tend to find the majority of the squads are made up of the best teams.
Yeah.
And that's the way it always has gone. But for some reason, it never turned over with Arsenal.
No, it never did. Look, I can go back. You know, and do you know this is a funny story? This is Ray Parlour was like the best player in 1997 to 98, our double winning year. He was the best player in the whole of England. He was superb that season. Goes to the World Cup, doesn't go to the World Cup. They bring in Darren Anderton, who played about 10 games. And I remember sitting on telly and I go, if I ever see that Glenn Hoddle, that's one thing I'm going to go and tell him. I mean, Ray Parlour should be over Darren Anderton anytime. And we was walking in a shopping centre and there was Glenn Hoddle. And my girlfriend at the time turned around and said, like, well, go on, go and say something to him. I didn't. You know, the cat got your tongue. The cat got your tongue, mate. You know what I mean? But I did feel like it. Like, you know, why ain't it? But again, you know what I mean? That was a strange decision. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it was the best player. He was, you know, we just won come off the winning the double. And Glenn Hoddle chose Darren Anderton over him. And I just felt that, you know, ridiculous decision. So, again,
I think sometimes you look at the form players that should have gone, and then you look at the players that, and then no disrespect to Darren Anderton, but Ray Parlour was by far the better player at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you pick the form player, don't you? And I think that's what tends to happen. The managers don't pick the form players.
No, I don't. I think that was it. Ian Wright got left out of one. I think it was not. Was it 92 when he banged in all the goals in the Euros? Graham Taylor left him out. You know what I mean? Like, how can you leave out the top goal scorer of the league that time? You know, I think he got that. He was on fire that first season. He came away, and he got left out of it. And you know, you scratch your head at times of some of the. You ever look back at some of the squads that were picked? I'm not saying the first 11, some of the squads and some of the players that got in, and you think to yourself, well, how comes David Rocastle wasn't in place of him? That's what I look at, you know. So I just think that you know, Rocky was probably one of the best players of his generation, in my opinion. That's not being biased, you know.
It's the truth. Lee, a lot of fans think the same. Actually, a lot of fans up and down the country think the same.
Yeah, you know, not because of what he was and whatever, like, you know, that. Do you remember that step over he used to do? He used to do this step over. And fool every bloody defender doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll try and do it on a Sunday with my mates and all that, and I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? It
But
just,
the thing is, Lee, you know the thing is, you know he's going to do it, but you still fall for it. That's the sign of a great player.
Yeah, he had that to an art, didn't he? He had
Yeah.
that to an art. You know what I mean? And I think, unfortunately, I think injury did sort of suffer a little bit. But from 87 to 91, I don't think there was a better right-sided midfield player
Yeah.
in the country. And I don't know, you know, you probably know more than me how many caps that he got, but it wasn't that many. It wasn't that many. And I remember him being left out of a few, and you know, he never moaned about it or groaned, never said anything right or wrong about it. But I just feel that was always a little bit of it bugged me. I'm going to be honest. It bugged me a little bit that you know, he didn't get as many caps. Michael Thomas was another one that didn't get recognition in there.
It's another dig at Arsenal, mate.
Yeah, I think it was. I can understand to a certain degree with Nigel Winterburn with Stuart Pearce. I could get that. But then there was times when Stuart Pearce went in and they'd play Tony. Is it Dorigo? Dorigo at Leeds. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? Like, you know, this, you know, but this is a guy that's lauded in our parts. You know, that famous back five, and you know. Steve Bold, 2 caps, I think he got. Like, you know what I mean? You know, when you look at some of the centre halves that have played at that time, you know, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Tony Adams was even left out for a couple of years, made 1 mistake or 2 mistakes and was left out.
Yeah.
Other centre halves, you know, have been still doing it and playing.
Yeah,
you know
and still playing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just feel that it was a little bit like that, you know what I mean? And I think like, yeah, people could turn around and say, oh, well, Dave Seaman was about all that time. He was. But, you know, he had a tough time getting into the England team to start off with. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
It wasn't plain sailing for him until he got in there, like, you know what I mean? They tried to look at everybody else before they chose him. So, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed by that thing. And that would be one of the, I think, disappointments with David, you know what I mean? That he didn't get the recognition he did internationally. But, you know, listen, when we talk about best teams, Kevin, he always gets in mind on that right hand side, and that's, you know, we have had some fantastic players by the way out there, but he was just for those few seasons, and I just think with David Rocastle also, Kev, that he had the you know, we talk about Charlie Nicholas as being the he was the one that you felt on the terraces you'd pin your hat on him. He was the one that you'd thought like
he was like glue, wasn't he? He was the glue.
Yeah,
he glued it all together.
You know, and I think that the fans at the time would say like, you know, yeah, we love we love Charlie, and you know, blah blah blah, Paul Merson or whatever. We're like the little iconic players, if you know. But this was the one that your staple, isn't he? Yeah.
You could count on him. You know, he's going to give you 110% every week. He's going to rattle into tackles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And I know Paul jokes about it, and you know, when we played Notts Forest, Paul Merson would say, "Oh, I'll have a little go on the left wing here," and he'd send Perry over to the right, wouldn't he? Like,
for Piercy.
You know, David wouldn't. Rocky would say, "Oh, I'll take on Stuart Pearson."
Yeah.
And that was the admiration that I think that you had for someone like David Rocastle.
I don't know if you remember, Lee, before we finish, there was a game at Highbury, Arsenal versus Forest. And Rocky got kicked from pillar to post by Stuart Pearce. I don't know if you remember it. I think we ended up losing the game, right? Because Forest always used to do a number on us for some reason at Highbury. But this particular day, Rocky was unbelievable. But how Pearce never got sent off, I don't know. Because he hacked him. He must have hacked him about 10 times, Lee. But Rocky just got up and dusted himself down, and he gave as good as he got. Yeah, which is what Stuart Pearce, I remember Piercy, when I went to Forest, Piercy told me, top man Rocky, I'll give it him and he give it me back. Got total admiration for him, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, you can't get better. I don't think you can get a better plaudit than that from somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because Stuart Pearce didn't take falls
No
easily.
prisoners. Took no prisoners, did he?
Yeah, so and he would do that to all the fullbacks, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? He'd give them as good as what he's got.
Give as good as he's got, yeah.
You know, and yeah, so wonderful player, and some wonderful goals. You know what I mean? You know, just thinking off the top of your head, some classic goals that he got.
Brilliant
you know,
goals.
So, but you know, as I say, that goes back to that semi-final. You know, what I mean, if that had been me, I'd have been running around White Hart Lane giving it to him. But he never did. He never did.
He never done it. He never done it.
Never did.
Well, Lee, the bell's gone, and Ian Wright's coming. Ian Wright's coming in with the brandies.
Yeah, well, that's good. Right,
yeah. He's come back.
Kicked us out yet?
No, he's come back because he wants to get rid of you now. So listen, fantastic. This is number one for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Fantastic that you look the part, Lee. Love the Dicky Ball. And I will speak to you again soon, my friend.
Lovely. Cheers, Kevin.
Cheers, mate.